Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thursday, May 14th, math lesson, last math lesson for the week. You're going to try the page 13 after you watch this lesson. It's called a mini quiz, but it's very similar to what you did last night for homework. And so I got 3 problems here for you to try to solve. That 2 of them will require a square root, 1 of them will require a cubed root. So go ahead and pause the video. We'll try these. We'll go over the answers, and I'm going to go over a couple of the answers from last night's homework as well, just to make sure, hopefully, that I've answered any and all questions that could have come up as you guys have done these problems. So as we get good at doing these types of problems, next week we'll be introduced to what's called the Pythagorean theorem. And the Pythagorean theorem next week will simply be this formula: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And they're going to stand for, a, b, and c will stand for different parts of what we'll learn as a right triangle. But obviously, one of these will be unknown, either a, b, or c. And since this is an equation with squares in it, that's why we had to get used to doing algebra with squares in it, like we've been doing this week, so that we can then apply it to this thing called the Pythagorean theorem that we'll learn next week. Okay, so that's why we're doing this. This is where we're going next week. Yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, so yeah, pause it, try these, and we'll go over it. Alright, so here we go, going over these answers here for 1, 2, and 3. For number 1, I'm getting w alone. First, I want to get w squared alone, so I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 3 to get rid of that times 3. I'm left with w squared equals 36. Now I have to get rid of the square, so I square root both sides. And I'm left with w equals plus or minus 6. Again, I need the plus or minus because I took the square root of both sides. Number 2, I want to get the y cubed alone. I'm going to start by getting rid of the plus 30 by taking away 30 both sides. Get y cubed equals 64. I get rid of the exponent of 3, the cube, by doing the opposite, taking the cubed root of both sides. And we get y is equal to 4. No plus or minus sign for taking the cubed root. It's only for square roots during algebra problems. And just remember here, again, how did I get that? What number, when you multiply it by itself 3 times, gives you 64? That's 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. Okay, and then number 3, I have 2 steps that I have to do to get x squared alone. So this is going to end up being 3 algebra steps total. First algebra step, getting rid of the plus 3 by minusing 3 both sides. Left with 7x squared equals 175. Divide both sides by 7 to get rid of the times 7. I'm left with x squared equals 25. And then finally, I'm going to get rid of the square by taking the square root of both sides. And we get x is equal to, again, it was a square root, so plus or minus 5. Alright? So hopefully you're getting pretty good at these. Again, that's why, even though this is, it used to be way back in the day, this used to be when I first started teaching a 7th grade topic still. But it went back to 8th grade, back in the Common Core, now the Next Gen standards time. So currently this is an 8th grade thing, but again, I went into this next because I thought it was an easy, logical transition for you guys to understand at home without me being there in person to help you guys out. So hopefully it is starting to seem pretty easy. Quickly, I will just take a look at a handful of questions from last night's homework. Again, so this is bonus because I know this isn't due till Friday. So you get, if you watch this video, you get a little extra help here. I'll do probably maybe 1, 5, and 6. I'll do with you guys here, so you get a little extra work with it. Alright, so number 1, I'm going to end up subtracting 6 first. I get w cubed equals 1. To get rid of the exponent of 3, the cube, I'm going to take the cube root of both sides. And what number when you cube it gives you 1? Well, that's 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. Alright, so hopefully it was pretty straightforward. For 5 and 6, you needed a calculator. You could have actually figured it out probably without rounded it, come close to them at least. Especially for number 6, you could probably figure out without a calculator. So first one here, we got to get the x squared alone, so get rid of the minus 6 by adding 6 both sides. You get x squared equals 46. Now when I go to take the square root of both sides, the closest perfect square to 46 is 49. The square root of 49 is 7. So this is a little bit less than that. So if I had to guess, and I haven't done this yet on I would have guessed that this one is probably 6.8 to the nearest tenth, because it's a couple numbers under 49. Like I said, the square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 36 is 6. So it's got to be between 6 and 7. And that's going to be a plus or minus. So I'll use my calculator and say, okay, well, the square root of 49, whoops, I typed it in wrong. The square root of 49 is 7. I meant to say the square root of 46. The square root of 46 ends up being, before I round it, 6.782329988, blah, 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 keep going. Okay, so to the nearest tenth, like the direction says, nearest tenth, well, the tenth place is the 7. I look after it to see that, okay, there's an 8 there, so that 8 is bigger than 5, so that tells me to round up, because you're either going to keep the 7 or round up. You look at the next number, that number's bigger than 5, so that tells me, okay, round that 7 up. So sure enough, my answer is plus or minus 6.8 is my answer to the nearest tenth. Okay, and then finally, again, you had to do all these problems to turn in for next week, but I'm just doing a couple with the together here to help you out. I got to get rid of this times 2 first, so I'm going to divide 2 both sides. Leaves me with x squared equals 50. And, okay, I take the square root here. Now, I bet you can guess this one. Again, based on my last answer, right? We know the square root of 49 is 7. This was a few less than 49, so sure enough it was a couple tenths less than 7, the answer. Well, the square root of 50 is just bigger than the square root of 49. Well, again, if the square root of 49 is 7, the square root of 50 is going to be just bigger than that. To the nearest tenth, I would probably guess 7.1. So if I type the square root of 50 in my calculator, again, I'll give you the non-rounded answer first. It comes out to be plus or minus 7.0710678, and it keeps going. It's irrational. So it's a 0 in the tenths place, but after the 0 is a 7, which is bigger than 5. That tells the 0 to round up. So sure enough, to the nearest tenth, my answer is plus or minus 7.1. So 5 and 6 were the only ones that you needed to use a calculator to get the answer. Again, you could probably estimate it like I did at first without a calculator, but the rest of them are perfect squares or perfect cubes to try on page 12 there. Okay, tonight you're trying page 13. Again, it's just same types of problems you've been working on, and hopefully you've kind of mastered these so that next week on Pythagorean theorem it'll also seem pretty easy. Alright, thanks for listening. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys. Some of you guys tomorrow. I'll have the either the Google meeting or the Zoom meeting tomorrow, and I'll post the information on a little bit before 11 o'clock. And the meeting will be at 11. If anybody has any questions or just wants to say hi to me or their friends. Okay? Alright, hope to talk to some of you guys tomorrow. Bye.